Radio, ABQ.FM on your app, rockoftalk.com on your computer, and now for TV, Rock of Talk TV for Roku, Amazon Fire. You can find us all those great places. This is Albuquerque Real Estate Talk with Tego and Tracy Venturi. Venturi Real Estate Group from Keller Williams Realty. You can pick up the phone and dial them directly, 448-8888. That's 448-8888. This week, sans Tracy, but with her sister and a delightful person in and of herself. I've met her a number of times. Jane Elizabeth is here. And Tego and Jane, how are you?
Excellent.
Yeah, doing great. Nice to be on. Thanks, Eddie.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover here.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Damon Maddox as well. So we've got everybody jumping into the show. This is pretty exciting today because we've got a packed show. 30 minutes isn't long enough. That's why we want to send you directly to welcomehomeabq.com for the latest stats, insights, all that information. In this edition of the Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, let me just get to it.
And let me just tell you just one thing we're going to throw in here that I didn't give you because it's last minute is talk about House Bill 111 as soon as we get Damon on and talk about that bill because it really affects landlords, property managers, anybody that owns a property and may want to be thinking about renting it. They need to learn about this bill and understand it. And, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you need to read it if you're a landlord or a homeowner that's going to be renting a property.
We will definitely be talking about that in this edition. Mortgage rates. It's been a big week. What are the projections going forward as Tego enjoys some coffee? He's much relaxed about it. Housing projections all the way through 2024. That's exciting. And pre-inspection, what is it? As well as home warranties when you're listing. And if we have some time, hopefully we'll get to 3 ways home equity can have a major impact on your life. And then we have Damon Maddox talking about House Bill 111. You want to start there, Tego, first, and then proceed into the rest of the show? Or?
Yeah, well, there's 2 bills right now that are trying to work their way through. Oh, there's Damon. So perfect timing. Let me talk about HB 19 first. So HB 19 was and Damon, correct me if I'm wrong, but HB 19 got postponed, correct? Is what I understand. Yeah. And I'll introduce you in a minute, Damon. But so HB 19 was, they were trying to put a transfer tax on real estate sales. So basically they wanted to tax you when you sell or buy a property. And at this point, that one has been shot down. So thank goodness for that. Yeah. But anyway, Damon Maddox Management, if you've been around Albuquerque, been in, around the city, you've probably seen Maddox Management signs. I mean, gosh, Damon, how long has your family been in the real estate business?
45 years.
Yeah, there you go. So you guys are kind of legendary in Albuquerque, and especially on the property management side. But your father has done so much and yourself so much for the real estate world and real estate industry. So thank you for that. But the reason I got you on, Damon, is we want to talk about HB 111, yes. which is out there right now. And so first off, Damon, if somebody wants to reach out to you, talk about property management, how do they get a hold of you?
They give us a call here, Maddox Management, 505-242-0989. Or
Awesome.
Visit our website, maddoxmgmt.com.
Awesome. Tell us about HB 111.
So HB 111, it's revamping the Uniform Owner Resident Relations Act, which is the landlord-tenant laws for the state of New Mexico. It's definitely something that needs to be looked at from time to time. We last time it was revised was almost 20 years ago. So when we heard that something was coming along, we weren't it didn't catch us off guard. But when we finally saw the actual bill that they're proposing, the changes they're proposing, there's a lot of unintended consequences.
That was one of my takeaways when I saw it. I started going through it, going, oh my gosh, this is going to backfire, especially on what I would consider some of the the people on the margins, both as property owners as well as potential tenants and stuff. I don't know. Was that your take too?
That was definitely my take. Their intent is to help grow the workforce housing, help us, the industry combat the homeless issue that we have in our state, particularly in our bigger cities. But the way they're trying to go about it is just it's going to cause much bigger problems and it's not going to fix what they're trying to fix.
Yeah. So give us just some of the proposals that are out there that concern the property management community and landlord community.
So the big concerns that we're having with these changes is the amount of time for an eviction, both for non-payment of rent and for lease violations. Right now, start to finish, it can take about 28 days. To go through that whole process from the time you serve that first notice. If this passes, it's 56 days for an eviction process for somebody that's been destroying the property, a
Wow.
violation other than non-payment of rent. They're taking that initial 7-day notice and making it a 14-day notice, and you've got to do that twice before you can even file with the courts.
Wow.
The other, notable things that they want is they're adding. They want to add source of income as a protected class, which in and of itself is not a bad thing.
Sounds good on the surface. Yeah. Yeah.
When you're forcing landlords to take the Section 8 vouchers, you're essentially stifling the amount of rent that they can collect. It's more almost like a rent freeze for them.
So wait. So this bill proposes that landlords, if somebody comes with a Section 8 voucher, which if anybody in the world, they know what that is. So that's somebody low income, they get a voucher to help supplement their rent, correct?
Correct.
But they're saying that landlords can't deny somebody because they're on a voucher plan?
That is correct.
Interesting.
So provided they meet all the other criteria, they have to accept the voucher. As a company, we work with these voucher programs, and the city run or the government run programs are wonderful to work with. The issue that we have sometimes is with the nonprofits that are offering these vouchers. They don't train their clients, their tenants, the whole process. They don't follow up on inspections like the government run ones do. So I have some owners that do not want to take vouchers, for that reason alone. You have great programs, Bernalillo County Housing. They inspect their properties, and their clients. They help us as property managers make sure that that the tenant's not destroying the place, that they're doing what they have to do to stay in their program. And same thing with the city of Albuquerque's housing. But some of the nonprofit ones do not. Some of them are great, and some of them are not. And to have to force an owner to accept all of them would be a detriment, I think.
Let me ask this: what's the status? I mean, you and I talked here earlier, but what's the status of the bill right now?
So the bill was in the Judiciary Committee last week. It was sent back to have some revisions done to the bill. Some of the things that were asked for, that we asked some changes to be made. And they just released yesterday a new version of the bill, but it's pretty close to the first version.
Got it.
So we'll see what it does in the Judiciary Committee when it goes back for a vote.
What is the property management community asking from the legislature?
Well, first we're asking for a seat at this table. We were not invited to help work on this legislation.
Really?
If they simply asked us to, we could point out, the things that where they're trying to get something to work correctly. We can let them know exactly, where that needs to change. And we'd love for it to be a two-way street.
Yeah. Eddie, do you have any questions on this?
No, I don't. I think it's pretty straightforward, and
Yeah.
he's pretty much staying on top of it. So it's very interesting how bad this will impact, I think, all of the real estate industry. I think it totally takes away any and all investment in real estate going forward, which I think is really concerning for everybody. I think the biggest problem that comes in as being a former practitioner of real estate is this literally gets rid of those LLCs of people who are investing in properties, who are reshaping properties and doing all that type of thing. So, for a company, and this is what's really stressing me out, is seeing the Maddox company, whose names are basically number one when it comes to residential property management. This sort of puts them out of business, and they've got to now increase their cash flow probably 2 to 3 months just to accommodate the new rules, because they're hedging on the side of the tenants. And that's not unfortunate. That's, in my opinion, that's criminal. And I think it's just really bad, Tego.
Hey, Damon, tell Eddie what you told me earlier about the investors coming into New Mexico and what one of your concerns is.
Well, so yeah, that's exactly right. My biggest concern, what I see right now, we have lots of investors coming in from California, from New York, and they're investing in our communities and buying up some properties and turning them around. And they always tell me that they're coming to New Mexico because our laws aren't as strict as California or New York. And these changes put us in line with California and New York. So you're going to see less people wanting to come and invest.
I think obviously we want to make it clear, like we want, tenant. I mean, the reality is right now, if tenants don't do what they're supposed to do, I mean, it's still a long process to make the landlord whole, correct? Or sometimes the landlord never gets made whole.
That is correct. It is. And I completely agree with you, Tego. We have an issue with workforce housing that we need to solve. And everybody deserves to live somewhere and have a good place to live, but not at the expense of these investors or these people that are putting their hard earned money into our communities.
Well, one of the things that occurred to me is go ahead, Eddie.
Is that everyone has their stories, everyone has their ideas about I've been impacted by COVID. But one of the things that happens ultimately, and Ben knows this probably better than, or Damon knows this better than anybody, and that's the fact that, stories will keep turning into more stories. And ultimately, if you're having to pick up the phone to call a constable just to kind of evict your tenant, there's going to be significant damage inside. Not only is there no respect between tenant and landlord, which all of the laws now are really weighted towards, especially if this passes, towards the tenant, but I mean, you're going to be dealing with real huge repairs and remodeling every single time you have a tenant. And could we do a minimum of 3 years on a lease with no going out, first months, last months, and first 2 months in? I mean, I think the landlords are going to be forced to turn this into something that's not even marketable, because it's going to be cheaper to get into a house to purchase than it is going to be able to rent. And, our escalations have been tremendous here in this market. And
sure
on the landlord side, I'd say that's good. But you've had rent escalators somewhere between 7 to 10%, Tego and Damon. And that makes it really healthy for the investors from outside the market to say, hey, you know what? This is a very affordable place to live. We can get in at a good rate, and there's still lots of room. Housing affordability is at an all-time high, but these people just want to rent for whatever reason. And that's just going to completely wipe out. And I do mean wipe out and decimate, I think, the rental market.
It will.
And it'll happen over a trickle-down effect over the next 3 to 5 years, where people are just making the determination that, hey, unless we have your first, last month's, and next of kin sign on the dotted line, you ain't renting from us, and then no one's going to rent, I think.
Bingo.
People
Bingo.
are just going to sell.
You just nailed it, Eddie. And that's the thing, is this type of bill, it's going to hurt the people on the margins the most. So you think about, obviously, the renter that's got a low credit score, that's maybe on a voucher or whatever it is, they're going to get looked at even more. They're going to be scrutinized even more. But then the other side is, Damon, what was the number? How many people in New Mexico that are landlords are just small mom and pop, own a couple properties, right? Those are the people that are going to get hurt. It's not the big, huge corporate, apartment owners, right? They got deep pockets. They can absorb it. But that little mom and pop guy that owns a couple rental properties and they can't get rent for 2 or 3 months, that's the people that's going to hurt.
And they're already being hurt.
Yeah.
And
they're
deciding to sell.
hurt.
I've had many customers. Sorry.
A majority of our clients, I'd say, I don't know about the entire state, but I'd say, 80% of our clients are mom and pop, single investors. Some of them, they've inherited property. I've got several widows, and this is their retirement income. They invested with their husbands, and now that this is their retirement. So when they can't get rent for 2 or 3 months, I mean that's their monthly income that they're hoping to pay their own bills with.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point. Well, we could keep going on this. I don't know, Eddie, anything else you want to ask on this, or just, I guess the point is there's so much going through at the legislature right now, Eddie. I know you guys have been hammering it in the afternoons, but man, they are trying to push all kinds of stuff through. It's amazing.
Well, one of the things that I think we need to address from the standpoint of just the impact of small business, and, Maddox is a very proud company. Thank you for your service and what you've been doing to keep people in their homes, because I know that, where the government can't come in or they can't come in, you make it work. So those people they try to look at real estate like they're soulless creatures, and that's not what happens at all. Residential real estate and rentals is all about helping people, and then, maybe making a little bit more money so you can go and help even more people. And, that's a small business. Tego and Tracy and Jane, you guys have a small business as well. But I want to bring something to the attention of both of you, which is it didn't get out of committee this week. And our governor went to Washington, D.C. to get $2 billion. And not to make this political, but it didn't get out of committee to help the small businesses who needed all the help, who've been shut down from being non-essential, from being, not being able to go to work, from dealing with harsh penalties, et cetera, et cetera. And the adding the insult to injury, I feel like we're down on the ground and we're getting dirt kicked on us, and they're laughing in our face at this point. We are embarking upon nearly a year of this COVID, and thank you for what you guys do in terms of risking your personal livelihoods to go out there and provide a service the very best. I mean, listen, folks, this is why you listen to the radio station. You have the best residential management company in town in Maddox. You have the best residential real estate people here. You're hearing it here on the front lines, and even they are feeling a little bit helpless, and that should trouble every single voter out there when the quote unquote big guys, as they see it, and I doubt Tego's had Wagyu beef in the last year or anything like that. So
I have it flown in from Tokyo every other week, Eddie. Sorry, I digress. Anyway, well, hey, yeah, I'm going to let you guys go. Jane and I got a bunch of stuff. Well, hey, actually, Damon, can you stay on for a few more minutes?
Sure.
I want to talk about stories from the trenches right now in the real estate world. And since you're here, I'd love to hear, obviously Jane is, one of the top, residential real estate salespeople in our market. You're obviously the top, property manager in our market. And I just want to hear some stories. Jane, you've got some stories about what buyers and sellers are going through these days. Can you share something with us that you're experiencing?
Thank you.
And hold on. I got to cue it up. I always do that to Tracy. It's like
Great.
Okay, wait, but let me cue it up. If you don't know, our market is like
hot,
unlike any market we've ever seen. Super low number of homes on the market and a lot of buyers, high buyer demand, low seller supply. That's kind of what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a really fun market. Very fun, unprecedented. The stories, I help buyers and sellers. And the thing that is most noteworthy to me is I talk with people who want to sell. Usually the first time I sit down and meet with them, their jaw dropped. when I tell them it's not a matter of if your house is going to sell. It's a matter of when and how much we're going to get for it. And that's amazing. And it's crazy to be talking like that because I started in 2008, 2009, and we all know what that was like. So that's been really amazing to be able to help sellers finally get what their houses, maybe they paid for them back in 2006, and maybe even a little bit more. Just
definitely
amazing.
More. I mean, unless they just let it go away, then they definitely are getting more than even the top of the market in 06. And so
Tego knows.
What are you doing? Like you're listing a home and you're getting multiple offers, right?
Well, we can't give away all our secrets, but we're very, very thoughtful. Again, it's going to sell. You know, you have to really have a really bad property for it not to sell right now. It's going to sell. But we're doing very strategic things. I always say that we get this, I won't give away. We get Cinderella ready for the ball. Right? If Cinderella went to the ball with ashes and sackcloth or whatever, she wouldn't have gotten picked by the prince. You know, she might have gotten picked by the housekeeping staff.
Well, she might have gotten picked, but she probably wouldn't got
top dollar. That's
top
what
dollar.
I mean.
I know.
The analogy gets sticky.
That's a little weird analogy, but
I
anyway,
use it all the time.
Yeah.
Because you can throw anything at the market. But it's really important to be very intentional about how you prepare the house and then how we market it. We've got a lot of things that we do that really help everyone have an equal advantage of bidding on the property.
So that's on the seller side.
market.
We'll talk about the buyer, but Damon, I want to hear about property management, what you guys are seeing. Again, you know I rented one of the homes we own here a month or so ago, and I mean my phone just blew up.
Rented it out.
I mean, like people that wanted to rent it. I had literally people on the phone crying, begging me to rent them the home because they couldn't find anything. Are you seeing the same thing?
We are seeing the exact same thing. We're seeing our nicer properties are rents are increasing, and we're getting multiple phone calls that within minutes of the time we post them. Before they're even vacated yet.
Wow.
A lot of people renting sight unseen. Last year we were kind of at the beginning of the shutdown. We were thinking that we had this inventory that was going to sit for a while. People realizing they can telecommute and work from home. They can come to our beautiful city.
Yep.
Cost of living is so much cheaper.
Right.
They're willing to spend, that extra money for, a 4-bedroom. So they have one, designated office space when they really only need a, 2 or 3 bedroom and all of, that yard space. So we're seeing those homes go super quickly.
Nice.
Yep. What about on the, I know you do have some, older apartment buildings and stuff that you guys have, little lower price point. I mean, what are you seeing in that market?
Well, even those, the pricing has creeped up, and we do a lot of stuff around the university area.
Yeah.
Those kind of that first semester of the shutdown, those kind of sat vacant for a while, but then students started coming back, and they're all pretty full now. We are seeing the same issue that you guys have on the sales side. We're low inventory.
Yeah.
And so people are jumping on what they see as soon as it gets online.
Yeah. Yeah. Just curious, how many properties do you have in your portfolio that you help people with?
We manage 788 doors.
Yep.
Roughly 500 properties. We do everything from single family homes up to 20 unit complexes. We don't do any of the, those giant, 80, 160 unit, monstrosities. That's a little out of my wheelhouse.
Well, and that's a whole different niche, right? You've got your niche, and I mean, obviously, you guys have built a reputation in town for years and years. Like you said, your family's been in the business 45 years. You said
45 years.
Yeah.
My dad started the year I was born.
Yeah. Your dad is an amazing guy, and with the stuff he's done for our industry, and I think most people will just never know what he's done. So we appreciate it. And of course, you're involved in the National Association of Realtors. You're out there fighting for property rights all the time. So we appreciate that. Damon, can people get a hold of you? They want to talk about property management, investing in property, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Give us a call here, 505-242 0989, or visit our website, Maddox, MADDOX, MGMT.com.
Got it. Well, we're going to jump on another subject. If you want to stay on, Damon, you're more. I almost said Maddox. You probably hear that right all the time, Damon. I want to talk about interest rates because it was an interesting week with interest rates. We saw the biggest weekly move in interest rates in a long time. The thing that's funny about it, we were on with Chris Krupar from Bay Equity, who's one of our lenders that local lender here that we work with that's excellent. And he watches that interest rate stuff like nobody else. What were some of your takeaways when he talked to our team here the other day, Jane?
I think the biggest takeaway is that even at 3%, which is pretty amazing, we're still in absolutely epic low interest rates, and the affordability a factor.
Well, it was funny. We were joking. They went from 2.75 to 3 for a lot of people. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think just that they went up was a little bit, nerve wracking, because we watched gas prices go up and now interest rates are going up, and wondering if it's an overall trend. We can't help but ask that. But yeah, interest rates.
The one thing he said, and I think people need to think about that, is if they've gotten a pre-approval.
That's right.
Talk about that.
Yeah, that if someone got pre-approved for a loan last week, that they need to check back in, because if they got pre-approved at the real top end of their ability to qualify, they may not qualify even with a 0.25% increase in the interest rate. And
we're not talking about qualifying overall. We're talking about for a certain price point, right? Because now they can afford might have gone down a little bit, right? Again, we're talking a 0.25 point here, but it's amazing. One of the things that I looked at this week, Jane, was predictions about interest rates. All the experts, all the housing economists, all that stuff. And
what are they saying?
Well, they're
the $1 million question.
I always say experts with air quotes, right? Because I think 2020 was the year of not believing the experts anymore. But sorry, I'm not going to get political here. But anyway, I mean,
everyone's got a motive behind their opinion.
But basically, what we looked at, the group I work with that pulls this data together, is we looked at what Freddie Mac said, Fannie Mae said, which Mortgage Bankers Association, and the National Association of Realtors, and all of them, if you were to just take all of them and look at them, they're saying probably by the end of the year we're going to be a little bit over 3, right? And that's it. Now, another group that I follow, John Burns Consulting, they looked out to 2024, and they're putting a 3.6 on 2024 interest rates. Point is, nobody's expecting a huge change in interest rates, and there's a good chance, I saw some economists talking, there's a good chance we'll never see 6-7% interest rates again, which, it's that whole new normal thing, right? And that could be interesting because, as you know, it's affected affordability, even though home prices have gone up, correct?
They have gone way up.
Jane, we only had a couple minutes left because we talked about
important stuff.
HB 111, which was super important. I want to just talk about pre-inspections and what you're feeling. If you're getting ready to sell your home, and somebody says, hey, should I get a pre-inspection? What do you say? I say
it's a great idea for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is when things are going so fast and we're asking buyers to make quick decisions, it's so wonderful for the buyers to have an inspection that they can look over. And it's really like a seal of approval for the sellers too. And it says, we don't have anything to hide. This is what we've got. And it also helps the seller not be negotiating in a black hole. Roofs are probably the number one reason that deals fall out of contract. And a lot of people, they don't even look at their roof. They might have moved here from another market and they don't know that even a tile roof needs to be sealed, every couple years. And so to find out after you're already under contract 2 weeks that maybe you need to put a new roof on the house, that's a hard pill to swallow when you're already under contract at a certain price. So don't negotiate in a black hole. When you consider the value of your home versus a $350 inspection, it's well worth it.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, I think in this market, even more so, because you've got a great home. It looks good. It shows well. It markets well. We do great photography. We do all the stuff we do. We get it out there, and you've got 20 offers or 10 offers. Let's say, let's be a little more realistic. You want to, if you have that done, it just puts you in a much stronger position.
It sure does. And one of the things that is common in such a fast market, I mean, buyers are making, again, such quick decisions. And there's this, the next morning they wake up and say, oh my gosh, did I do the right thing?
Yeah,
and so,
they get in that, you get in that auction mindset,
totally.
Right? And then you have remorse.
We have buyer's regret. And so if you find out that the roof is bad, you think, oh, it was a bad decision. It just confirms that you maybe decided too quickly. And so we do everything we can to minimize that fallout rate in how we market and how we accept offers.
Yeah. The other thing is a little known thing that we do offer is, or at least have available for sellers,
Right.
is warranty. A warranty during the listing period. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's something that maybe it's a tool that we're just starting to harness and use for our sellers. But anytime while they're listed, which isn't usually very long, with the average house selling across the board in less than 5 days. And then that warranty also covers the whole pending period. So if the dishwasher goes out, thank goodness they've got a small copay, and they can get a new dishwasher for $75, I believe.
Yeah,
is
it's $75. It's such a again, it's one of those peace of mind things that's very little investment for a whole lot of peace of mind.
Yeah, we need to do that for all our properties.
Yeah.
Both of you are wonderful. Thank you for all that you do for the real estate community. It is certainly a difficult time, and it's couldn't be worse timing for what's happening.
Nope.
Now we're starting to see things creep into a different direction. I told both of you, Tego and Tracy, we didn't have a chance to talk to you before this whole COVID-19, but just, there's things that the government's going to step in on and move in, and now they're just encroaching on something else and on something else and on something else. So this is why votes matter. This is why policy is important. We'd like to keep Tego, Tracy, and Jane doing what they're doing, but without profit, there is no way to get involved in anything. And trust me, one good year does not make up for 5 bad years or 10 bad years. It takes a long time to make all of that up. And they are the real estate experts. We're proud to have them here on this radio station for Albuquerque Real Estate Talk. And we'll get back to the homes of the week next week. And hopefully, it would be nice, and I'm going to say this live, and Tego, I probably should ask you before I say this, but I think it'd really be great to have both Jane and Tracy do part of the show together, and I don't know, maybe even extend the show.
I might have to.
You and I do a half an hour too.
I don't know if I want to moderate that one.
Once in a great while, we can do something like that. There's so much to.
That would be fun.
This is 20% of the economy here in the state of New Mexico.
Yes, it is.
There's so much.
Like when we say happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of property, you're talking to the real estate experts right here. And again, I'll say we are proud to have them.